Hej, siemano wam wszystkim ludzie, z tej strony Arturo, witam was na swoim kanale i kontynuujemy Agatha Christie Morderstwo w Orient Ekspresie. I weszliśmy do wagonu restauracyjnego, rozejrzyjmy się.
These etchings are masterful.
Dobra, z tymi wszystkimi ludźmi też sobie porozmawiamy.
I'm not in the mood to talk at the moment.
Ja chciałem tylko zadać kilka pytań. Nic szczególnego.
Monsieur Foscarelli.
Ah, signorina! I have been told you aid the great Herkulesa Poirot in his investigations. I will help you in any way I can.
Czy mogę pana prosić o paszport?
May I have your passport, please?
Of course, of course! Here you are!
Antonio. Pan Antonio Foscarelli. Jak widzę, jest pan naturalizowanym Amerykaninem.
You are Antonio Foscarelli. I see here you are a naturalized American citizen.
Yes, signorina. It is better for my business. I am, as you can see, a salesman of motor cars. I do big business. I am up to date. I understand salesmanship.
Czy pan pali fajkę, papierosy, cygara, cokolwiek?
What do you smoke? A pipe, cigarettes, cigars?
Cigarettes only.
Podróżuje pan często do i ze Stanów Zjednoczonych?
You travel frequently to and from the United States?
Yes, for the past 10 years or so.
Did you ever come across Monsieur Ratchet?
Never, but I know the type. Oh, yes. It is very respectable, very well dressed, but underneath it is all wrong. I should say he was a big crook. I give you my opinion for what it is worth.
Your opinion is quite right. Monsieur Ratchet was Cassetti, the kidnapper.
What did I tell you? I have learned to read the face. It is necessary. Only in America do they teach you the proper way to sell.
Proszę mi powiedzieć, co robił pan wczoraj po kolacji.
Please tell me your movements last night after dinner.
With pleasure. I stay here in the salon car for a while. It is more amusing. I play cards with the American gentleman who sells the typewriter ribbons. We talk shop, afterwards we retire to my compartment and play the cards some more. And talk more shop. That one though, he is not the salesman Foscarelli is, I can tell you.
Pamięta pan sprawę Armstrongów?
Do you remember the Armstrong case?
I do not quite remember, but yes. The name, it was a little girl, was it not? A baby, una bambina.
Yes.
Ah, well, these things, they happen, even in a great country like America.
Czy spotkał pan kiedykolwiek kogoś z rodziny Armstrongów?
It is difficult to say. I see so many people, you understand. I'll give you some figures. Last year alone, I sold...
Please, monsieur, confine yourself to the point.
With great pleasure.
O której poszedł pan do swojego przedziału?
What time did you go to your compartment?
Oh, it was early. 8:30 or so.
Do której graliście w karty w pańskim przedziale?
What time did you stop playing cards in your room?
Not yet 10 o'clock. That stuffed shirt of a valet who shares the compartment with me came back from attending his master. A miserable people, the English. Not sympathetic. He sits in the corner, very stiff, reading a book. Mr. Hardman and I, we lose our taste for the cards, and Mr. Hardman, he goes off to his own room. The attendant makes up our bets.
O której poszedł pan spać?
What time did you go to bed?
I lay on my bunk for a while. The Englishman has, I think, the toothache. He gets out a little bottle of stuff that smells very strong. He moans and groans. I drop off around 10:30. Whenever I wake, I hear him groaning.
Czy Monsieur Masterman opuszczał przedział podczas nocy?
Do you know if Monsieur Masterman left the room at all during the night?
I do not think so. If the door opened, the light from the corridor, one wakes up automatically thinking it is the customs examination at some frontier.
Czy Monsieur Masterman mówił coś o swoim panu?
Did Monsieur Masterman ever speak of his master?
I tell you, he did not speak, even to introduce himself. He was not a sympathetic, a fish.
Good day, monsieur.
Jak to głupio brzmi, czy mówił coś o swoim panu? O, jest barman.
May I have your passport, please?
Oui, mademoiselle. You will find it in room 1-2 in the Athens-Paris coach.
Proszę powiedzieć, co robił pan wczoraj po kolacji?
What can you tell me of your movements after dinner?
I came in here to attend to the bar after everyone went to their homes. I cleaned the salon car and went to the Athens-Paris coach to rest.
What time was that?
I closed the bar at midnight, so it would be a few minutes after that.
Czy widział lub słyszał pan w nocy coś niezwykłego?
Did you see or hear anything unusual last night?
No, mademoiselle. The Athens-Paris coach was very quiet. And of course, the door leading to the Calais coach is locked. One can pass through only if Pierre Michel or Matteo opens it for him.
Co pan wie o Klausie, szefie kuchni?
What do you know of Klaus, the chef?
An artiste de la cuisine, and just as temperamental as a painter. Vous comprenez? No one is allowed to enter his kitchen.
His menu seems to overemphasize meat dishes.
It is true that they call him Le Boucher, but not to his face, of course.
The butcher. It suits him.
Klaus zdaje się być dziś bardziej wybuchowy niż zwykle.
Klaus seems even more temperamental than usual today.
I fear an approaching catastrophe, mademoiselle.
Worse than avalanches and murder.
Certainement. Special dinner menus, as you no doubt know, are printed in advance of our departure in Istanbul. Here is tonight's menu. As you can see, tonight is to serve Wiener Schnitzel and Eldafe Salat, native dishes of Austria, in honor of the Count and Countess Andrani.
Veal and potatoes. Why does this not surprise me?
But so many have asked for the salads, almost in defiance of Chef Klaus, and the porters have failed to put aboard enough vinegar and olive oil for the Eldafe Salat. Klaus is in a rage. The embarrassment will be too much for him.
Czy wie pan, co Klaus zrobił zeszłej nocy?
What do you know of Klaus's movements last night?
As usual, he stayed in his precious kitchen, preparing his pastries and sauces for the next day's meals. He passed through the salon car a few minutes before midnight in a rage because one of the steak knives is missing. Passengers will take anything as a souvenir if it is not bolted down. Why, the things that have gone missing on this trip would astound you.
But perhaps they were not all taken as souvenirs. Perhaps some person, in order to do good, borrowed them?
Mademoiselle, forgive me, but I do not understand what you are talking about.
Let it pass. What did Klaus do after he entered the salon car?
Nothing. We went together to the Athens-Paris coach.
Czy pan wie, że Monsieur Ratchet został zabity nożem?
Do you know Monsieur Ratchet was killed with a knife?
I had heard this, oui, but why? Do you think Klaus may have stabbed him?
A chef that temperamental? If someone was to criticize his masterpieces?
Mais non, mademoiselle. C'est très absurd. Klaus would not stab anyone. Not with a knife. He would hack them into little medallions with his cleaver.
Good day, monsieur.
No dobra, czyli wiemy, że brakuje oliwy i octu. Wziąłem kostki lodu. Mogą mi się do czegoś przydać.
Excuse me, please, mademoiselle. I will be happy to talk to you in a little while.
Nie mamy już o niczym do rozmowy. A myślałem, że coś jeszcze będę mógł zabrać. Jednak nie.
Come back later, Miss Marceau. We can chat then.
Okej.
Fresh flowers in the winter. Count Andrigny, I am acting on behalf of Monsieur Hercule Poirot in this matter. May I speak with you?
I quite understand your position. I will do anything I can to assist you.
Czy mogę prosić o pański paszport?
May I have your passport, please?
Yes, certainly.
Rudolph Joseph Andrigny, aged 34. A diplomatic passport.
Yes, I am in the Hungarian consular service.
Wife Elena Maria Andrigny, aged 20.
Yes, we have only been married a year.
Aged 20, thank you.
Czy jest panu znana tożsamość zmarłego, monsieur?
Are you aware of the identity of the deceased, monsieur?
If you want to know his name, surely it is in his passport.
The name on his passport is Ratchet. That is not his real name. He is in fact Cassetti, who was responsible for the kidnapping and death of a child in America.
Ah, that certainly should throw light upon the matter.
Czy był pan w Ameryce, Monsieur Lecomte?
Have you been to America, Monsieur Lecomte?
Yes, I was in Washington for a year. Extraordinary country.
Did you know the Armstrong family?
The kidnapped victims.
Yes.
Armstrong. It is difficult to recall. So many diplomatic functions. So many hands to shake. I cannot recall. I'm sorry.
Czy może mi pan powiedzieć, co pan robił wczoraj po kolacji?
Can you tell me how you spent the evening after dinner last night?
We had my wife's compartment made up while we were at dinner. On returning, we sat up in mine playing piquet. At about 11 o'clock, my wife retired for the night. The attendant made up my compartment, and I also went to bed.
Nagle zatrzymanie pociągu obudziło pana?
The sudden stop of the train awakened you?
Naturally. I learned from the attendant of the avalanche, then went in to my wife and comforted her.
Kiedy wrócił pan do swojego przedziału?
When did you return to your own compartment?
Well, I didn't, actually. That is to say, I did not like to leave my wife alone after the shock. We passed the remainder of the night together.
Czy oprócz zatrzymania pociągu zauważył pan coś niezwykłego?
Other than the train stopping, did you notice anything unusual?
No, I don't think so. I dropped off to sleep sometime before 2 a.m. and slept through until this morning.
You didn't hear the commotion in the compartment next to yours? The American lady who occupies it had quite an attack of hysterics and rang repeatedly for the attendant.
When was this?
At approximately 1:15.
No, I'm afraid I didn't notice.
Czy pan pali, Monsieur Lecomte?
Do you smoke, Monsieur Lecomte?
The occasional cigar only. They are always offered to me, you understand, but I do not much like them.
Au revoir, Monsieur Lecomte. Countess, may I ask you some questions regarding the death of Monsieur Ratchet?
I'm not sure what I can do to help, but I'll try.
Czy była pani w Ameryce?
Have you been to America?
No, mademoiselle. My husband was posted there. Diplomatic duties. But we were not married then.
Jaki jest kolor pani szlafroka?
What is the color of your dressing gown?
Why do you ask me that?
Detectives have to ask all sorts of questions. Forgive me.
It is yellow. Corn-colored chiffon. Are you really a detective, mademoiselle? I was told you worked for the railway.
Well, I'm assisting a detective. That's what I meant.
Is he a Yugoslavian detective?
I think he would tell you he belongs to the world, madame.
O której zasnęła pani wczoraj w nocy? Skąd ona może wiedzieć, o której zasnęła, jak zasnęła? Przecież nie patrzyła. O, jest godzina 12 w nocy, no to czas zasypiać.
When did you fall asleep last night?
Soon after 1 o'clock, I believe.
Czy słyszała lub widziała pani coś niezwykłego?
Did you hear or see anything unusual last evening?
After the train stopped?
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
You didn't hear Mrs. Hubbard ringing her bell and calling out at around 1:15?
No, it would be very unlikely if I did. I'm sorry.
Au revoir, Madame la Comtesse.
No okej.
I'm sorry to disturb you.
Not at all. As you can see, I'm not exactly occupied at the moment. And I do know you're helping that funny little Belgian detective. What can I do for you?
Pani imię i nazwisko, adres zamieszkania i wiek.
Your full name, permanent address, and age, please.
Mary Hermione Debenham, 32. I'm between permanent addresses at the moment.
Co może mi pani powiedzieć o nocnym morderstwie?
What can you tell me of the murder last night?
I'm afraid I have nothing to tell you. I went to bed and slept.
Nie wygląda pani na przejętą. Czy to nie zrobiło na pani wrażenia?
You seem very at ease. Are you not distressed by what has happened?
Distressed? I have not really thought about it from that point of view. No, I cannot say that I am at all distressed. After all, people die every day.
They die, yes, but murder is thankfully a little more rare.
Czy znała pani Monsieur Ratcheta?
Were you acquainted with Monsieur Ratchet?
I saw him for the first time at dinner last night. Oh, I suppose at the station, perhaps. I don't recall.
How did he strike you?
I hardly noticed him.
He did not strike you as an evil personality?
Really, I cannot say I thought about it. Whether or not I liked Mr. Ratchet's face does not seem to be helpful in finding out who killed him.
Do you know who Monsieur Ratchet really was?
Haven't a clue. Who was he?
Cassetti, the man behind the Armstrong kidnapping.
That was quite abominable.
Widać, że babeczka się w ogóle tym nie przejmuje. Gdzie rozpoczęła pani podróż?
Where did you begin your journey?
Baghdad.
What were you doing there?
I have been acting as governess to 2 children.
Jaki jest cel pani podróży?
What is your final destination?
London. I'm giving up on Baghdad. Not much happens there. I'm hoping to find a suitable post in London.
Co może mi pani powiedzieć o Mademoiselle Schmidt?
What can you tell me about Mademoiselle Schmidt?
She's a nearly perfect traveling companion. Quiet, polite, thinks the world of her princess.
What is the color of her dressing gown?
Her dressing gown. It's dark blue. Flannel.
Czy Mademoiselle Schmidt opuszczała w nocy wasz przedział?
Did Mademoiselle Schmidt leave your compartment at any time during the night?
She was with the princess, reading, I believe, until quite late. I awoke when she returned. I remember thinking she was not paid enough for such long hours and checked my watch. It was 12:38.
Jak dobrze zna pani pułkownika Arbanota?
How well do you know Colonel Arbuthnot?
That's a very impertinent question. And I'll not answer it.
That will do for now, mademoiselle.
Nic nie mogę zabrać, kwiatka nie mogę zabrać. Trudno. Wagon restauracyjny. Aha, czyli teraz jednak nie byliśmy w tym wagonie. Może coś będę mógł wziąć z któregoś stolika. Są nakryte. Co my tutaj mamy?
These menu cards are perfect for collecting fingerprints.
O! Wzięliśmy też nóż.
Sterling silver, of course.
Czyli pomału zbliżamy się do zbierania odcisków palców.
Very appetizing in other circumstances, but I'm not hungry at the moment.
Naleśniki, jakieś, nie wiem, sosy, nie sosy. Czyli tak, co my wzięliśmy? Puste karty menu, nóż do masła. Cała rączka jest z drewna. Srebrny nóż do masła. To puste karty menu, każda posiada wytłoczone logo. Karty są puste po obu stronach. Ten pojemnik do lodu jest wyjątkowo duży. Jest raczej zimny w dotyku. Menu przedstawia listę potraw przeznaczonych na obiad. Szczególnie ciekawy jest sznycel po wiedeńsku z sałatką kartoflaną, na cześć hrabiego i hrabiny Andernach. Okej.
Monsieur Klaus, I understand you need olive oil and vinegar for tonight's meal.
Yeah, the food porters in Istanbul did not load enough. I am shamed if I cannot prepare the promised Wiener Schnitzel and Elderfeld salad for the Count and Countess Andreni.
Intolerable.
Niedopuszczalne.
This door leading outside has been ordered sealed by Monsieur Poirot, so that no one may use it to exit the train.
Wagon bagażowy. Dobra, musimy się rozejrzeć.
These goods are being shipped. They do not belong to anyone currently on the train.
Quite interesting.
Bardzo ciekawe. Wygląda tak, jakbyśmy mogli coś na tym użyć. Może znowu młotek?
That isn't such...
Oh, mademoiselle, use the little gray cells that Poirot knows that you possess. Find another solution.
Miedziana bransoletka, miedziany drut, metalowy uchwyt.
That isn't going to help.
Quite interesting.
Oliwa z oliwek, biały ocet.
Salonica olive oil, a keg of Greece's finest. A keg of white wine vinegar.
No dobra. Mamy coś takiego, metalowa rurka z zaworem. O! I chyba mamy gdzieś jeszcze jedną.
This spout fits just as well as the first.
Tylko czy my mamy teraz coś, do czego moglibyśmy to przelać? Mamy szklanki.
I filled the tumbler with vinegar. I filled the tumbler with olive oil.
Okej. Mam nadzieję, że Klaus będzie zadowolony.
This seems to be a security door. It certainly lives up to its name. It's locked.
Ale ja widziałem, że mamy tutaj kilka par kluczy. Klucz do wagonu Ateny-Paryż, klucz do wagonu bagażowego. Drugi klucz konduktorski. Ale my już sprawdzaliśmy i żaden klucz nie pasuje. Dobra, chodźmy do Klausa.
I have the olive oil and vinegar you need for tonight's meal.
Let me see them. Yeah, this olive oil is fresh enough and of sufficient quality. The quality of this vinegar will have to do, but there is not nearly enough. Tell me at once where you found it.
In the baggage car.
There must be far more vinegar for the authentic Elderfeld salad. I will get it myself.
Ale narwany ten Klaus.
That will do nicely.
Ale sobie poszedł. Więc mogę się tutaj rozejrzeć.
Loaves of bread. They smell lovely.
Coś wziąłem. Mamy też tasak.
I believe they are sacks of flour, good for thickening sauces. And judging by last night's sauce, Klaus will get through both sacks before the trip is through.
O ja, kiełbaska, sałaty. Jakiś sos.
I'd better close this. I wouldn't like to waste fuel. Such a cramped kitchen. I can't imagine how Klaus puts up with it. Such a cramped...
Miska z jakimś ciastem.
An empty bottle of olive oil and one that looks like it contained vinegar.
Już chyba nic więcej stąd nie będziemy mogli zabrać. Dobra, co my mamy? Miska pełna ciasta. Karawka z sokiem pomarańczowym. Bryła węgla. Mamy też tasak, ale okej. Porozmawialiśmy sobie z wszystkimi. Więc co w takim razie mielibyśmy robić dalej? Może udam się do Poirot. Albo zabiorę się za odciski palców.
Hello.
Chciałbym wziąć pani odcisk palców.
I'd like to take your fingerprints.
How very enterprising of you. How do we proceed?
I have some typewriter ribbon,
Splendid. This is all rather exciting.
O,
Au revoir, Mademoiselle Debenham.
i obstawiam, że musimy wziąć odciski od każdego pasażera.
Hello, I am afraid I am back again. May I take your fingerprints?
Yes.
Thank you, Countess. You did not expect to see me again so soon, did you?
Chciałabym wziąć pańskie odciski.
I'd like to take your fingerprints.
Whatever you need to do, I will be happy to cooperate.
Merci, Monsieur le Comte.
Na szczęście rozmowy mamy z każdym przeprowadzone, więc powinno pójść szybko.
Have you enjoyed rummaging around in my room?
Potrzebuje pani odcisków palców.
I would like to fingerprint you.
What do you have there? A typewriter ribbon? You're going to smear ink from that on my fingers?
That was my intention.
And how do you plan to clean that mess off afterwards?
I have something to clean your hands with.
Cocktail napkins? Good gracious, sweetie. What kind of fleabag investigation are you conducting here anyway?
I appreciate your cooperation. Au revoir, madame. You did not expect to see me again so soon, did you?
Chciałabym wziąć pańskie odciski palców.
I would like to take your fingerprints.
I see. Very well then.
Good day, monsieur. Something has occurred to me since I left you.
Chciałabym wziąć pańskie odciski palców.
I would like to take your fingerprints.
Of course, of course. Anything to help.
Thank you.
Wszystkie wyglądają tak samo.
Good day, monsieur.
See here, what do you think you're playing at?
Wezmę teraz od pana odciski palców.
I will take your fingerprints now.
Will you, by Jove? Well, get on with it then.
Thank you, Colonel.
No i po raz kolejny muszę wszystkie przedziały przeszukać. W sensie wziąć od każdego odciski.
I'm sorry. I don't think I'm quite done yet. I'd like to take your fingerprints.
That's a rather messy procedure, isn't it? Do you have something I might wipe my hands on afterwards?
Yes, I do.
Napkins? A wet cloth was beyond your capabilities? Well, I suppose they will have to do.
Thank you. That will be enough.
Ale biorąc pod uwagę fakt, że jeszcze będziemy mieli przedział Ateny-Paryż, to naprawdę tych odcisków sporo zbierzemy.
Oh, another thing.
Chciałabym wziąć pańskie odciski palców.
I would like to take your fingerprints.
Would you really? Say, that's swell. I mean, of course you can.
No i jeszcze konduktor i maszynista na zewnątrz.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Czyli naprawdę sporo tego będzie.
Oh, another thing. I would like to fingerprint you, if you must. Au revoir, mademoiselle. I'd like to talk to you again, if you don't mind.
Potrzebuje pani odcisków palców.
I would like to fingerprint you.
But of what am I accused?
Nothing, it's only formality.
Oh, I am sorry. Please fingerprint me.
Good day to you, mademoiselle.
Miłego dnia, mademoiselle.
Regardez, mademoiselle.
O,
I've already said
Coś wzięliśmy.
I don't need anything else.
Jakąś fotografię. Karta pocztowa. Pocztówka z Ameryki, czy raczej Coney Island, jeśli chodzi o ścisłość. Wygląda na pismo Grety, na pamiątkę ostatniego szczęśliwego dnia nad morzem. Helena jeździła kolejką górską, ale ja nie mogłam. Jeszcze coś zabrałem. Biblia Grety. To jest Biblia Grety Olson. Widać, że często ją czyta. Przepisałem właściwe fragmenty do mojego notatnika. Monsieur Poirot, potrzebuję pańskich odcisków.
Ah, your return. Is there more to report to me, mademoiselle?
And that is everything I have. Thank you most.
Przyjdę do Poirota wtedy, kiedy uda mi się zebrać wszystko.
Better to let the dead rest in peace.
A tu też były gdzieś odciski.
Quite interesting.
Tylko nie wiem, jakbym miał to zebrać.
I've already.
Zajmę się tym później. Nikogo tutaj nie ma.
I won't find anything else in there.
Nic więcej nie znajdę. No a skąd wiesz? Może ktoś podczas twojej nieobecności tutaj wrócił i coś schował.
Before I go, there was something else. I regret to tell you that I must take your fingerprints.
Dear me. With typewriting written? Have you something I may clean my hands with afterwards?
I have some paper napkins.
Thank you, mademoiselle. Those should suit admirably.
My tu prowadzimy poważne śledztwa, a ludzie się przejmują, że będą mieli brudne
Thank you
palce.
for your time, princess. I've already. You did not expect to see me again so soon, did you? I would like to take your fingerprints.
Of course, mademoiselle. There is nothing more I can tell you.
W porządku.
The door to the Athens Paris.
Ale my mamy klucz.
I am sorry, mademoiselle, but I do not believe using that object will help.
Nie możemy tam przejść. No okej. Ale... Tu jest gdzieś pokój Ratcheta. Wyjdziemy przez okno. Mamy jeszcze maszynistę i chyba jednego konduktora. Pójdziemy sobie najpierw na koniec pociągu.
I would like to fingerprint you.
Eğer mecbursan.
I still need to ask you some questions about last night.
At your service, dear young lady. But I know nothing.
Czy widział pan, by w nocy ktoś opuszczał pociąg?
Did you see anyone leave the train last night?
No, but as I have told you, we were busy with the boiler. The pressure must be kept up for the lights and heat.
Czy widział pan, aby ktoś wsiadał?
Did you see anyone get on the train?
In Belgrade, there was a single passenger only for the Athens-Paris coach. No one at the other stops that I saw.
Can you describe this passenger?
He was small, dark. A doctor, I think Michel said.
No one else?
Well, Matteo, of course, the Athens-Paris attendant. Not to speak ill of the crew, but he was very late getting aboard. We left the station only moments later.
Potrzebuję pańskich odcisków palców.
I would like to fingerprint you.
Anything you require. However, if you're planning to smear that typewriting ribbon on my fingers, it is unnecessary. My fingers are black from coal dust already.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Czyli mamy tak naprawdę wszystko, chyba. Chociaż z drugiej strony mamy tutaj wagon Ateny-Paryż. Czy ma pan plan wagonu Ateny-Paryż?
Do you have a plan to the Athens-Paris coach?
Si, señorita.
Które przydziały w tym wagonie są zajęte?
Which rooms are occupied in this car?
The Greek doctor is the only passenger. He is in room 13. I have taken room 15 there to sleep in, and room 16 for my equipment. I hope it is all right. Pierre Michel is using room 11, the chef de cuisine is in 9, Lucien the waiter is in 1-2, the engineer is resting in 10 when not attending to the boiler, the fireman rests in 3-4.
What equipment?
I am a ham radio operator. Usually I carry the equipment in the baggage car. There is no time to use it when I'm on duty, and anyway, no power. But when we were stopped so suddenly, I thought to check it and found my telegraph key destroyed. I don't understand it. It was packed carefully. I brought the rest here to my room to keep it safe.
Czy ktoś przechodził w nocy z tego wagonu do wagonu Calais?
Did anyone pass between this car and the Calais coach last night?
Only Pierre. He came through and we talked for a few minutes about the snow and what it will do to the schedule.
When was this?
Sometime after 1 a.m. A few minutes only. We talked for 10 minutes or so. Then Michel fancied he heard a bell. He opened the doors between the two coaches and we both heard it plainly. A bell. Ringing repeatedly. Michel ran to answer it.
Wsiadł pan do pociągu w Belgradzie?
You boarded the train in Belgrade?
Si, señorita.
Why were you so late? Your passenger must have boarded by himself, and you yourself almost missed the train.
But this is not so. I was preparing my car as it was being attached. I myself welcomed the Greek doctor and showed him to compartment 13.
Potrzebuję pańskich odcisków palców.
I would like to fingerprint you.
I, señorita?
Everyone.
Oh, then si. I will submit.
Au revoir, monsieur.
W łazience raczej nie znajdziemy odcisków. Dobra, tutaj mamy to coś, tą radiostację, ale ona nie działa. Matteo Rivert. Pusto. Mały. Też sobie oglądaliśmy.
I would like to take your fingerprints.
What is that you say? I protest. I have nothing to do with this crime.
Everyone must be fingerprinted.
Refuse? No, of course not. Let's get it over with.
Nothing else.
Nic więcej.
I'll take that key, Mr. Hardman. If you don't give it to me, I can have a couple of the train's staff take it from you.
I'd like to see them try.
Would you really?
Dlaczego pan Hardman znajduje się w tym przedziale, skoro on powinien jechać wagonem Calais?
What were you doing going through Michelle's belongings?
Your job.
You know I am assisting Monsieur Poirot.
Sure. Begin the interrogation.
Jaki jest pana zawód?
What is your profession?
I'm a salesman. Typewriting ribbons.
Do you always travel first class, Monsieur Hardman?
Sure. The firm pays my traveling expenses.
Jaki jest cel pańskiej podróży?
Where is your destination?
Paris.
And from there?
New York.
Co może pan powiedzieć o morderstwie?
What can you tell me about the murder?
Nothing at all.
That is a pity.
Co robił pan pod oknem Monsieur Ratcheta?
What were you doing outside Monsieur Ratchet's window?
Okay, there were footprints there. Man's shoe, but not a large one. Size 7, maybe. I followed the tracks, then it looked like whoever made them put on some snowshoes and headed out over that deep snow near the back of the train.
Chciałabym wziąć pańskie odciski palców.
I would like to take your fingerprints.
I guess it's okay.
Perhaps, Monsieur Hardman, you could tell me why I found a blackjack, or sap as I believe it's called, in your suitcase?
How do you know what it's called?
Crime is a hobby of mine.
Yeah? Well, why don't you try knitting instead? You people are serious about this investigation, aren't you?
Of course. You have heard of Monsieur Poirot?
Yeah, I have. I think I better come clean, or I could find myself in a lot of hot water here.
I would advise you to come clean.
Okay, I don't know anything, like I said. But I ought to know something. That's what makes me sore. I ought to. My passport's a bit of a bluff. That's who I really am.
Please explain.
I showed up at the appointed time. Ratchet put me wise to the situation.
The threatening letters?
Yeah, he showed me 2 of them.
Czy Monsieur Ratchet wydawał się nimi zaniepokojony?
Did Monsieur Ratchet seem alarmed by the letters?
Pretended not to be, but he was rattled all right.
Jakie dał panu instrukcje?
What instructions did he give you?
I was to travel by the same train he did to Paris and see that nobody got him. That's the thing. I did travel by the same train, and in spite of me, somebody did get him. I feel sore about that. Doesn't look any too good for me.
Czy podejrzewał, kto mógł być nadawcą tych listów?
Did he have any idea who the letters were from?
Well, Ratchet described him to me.
What?
Sure. Said he was a small man, dark, with a kind of womanish voice.
Did Monsieur Ratchet not tell you the man's name?
Nope.
Ratchet was Cassetti, the Armstrong murderer.
No kidding. Should have recognized him. I mean, I suppose I saw photos of him in the papers and everything. Well, that explains it. Cassetti made a lot of enemies in the American underworld. He often skipped when the heat was on, leaving his partners in crime to face the music. Some assassin finally caught up with him. Say, I've really fallen down on this thing. And with a famous detective like Mr. Poirot on the case, too. This won't do my rep any good with my boss, Mr. McNeil, if it gets back to him.
I'm in the same predicament, Monsieur Hardman, believe me.
You are? Well, that's good. I mean, bad for you, but... Say, listen. If we could keep the mess I've made out of this thing between ourselves...
I must tell Monsieur Poirot everything.
Oh, sure. I'll have to swallow my professional pride there, but if we can keep it on this side of the Atlantic, maybe, I'd really appreciate it.
I'll see what I can do.
Czy zna pan kogoś powiązanego ze sprawą Armstrongów, kto odpowiadałby opisowi podanemu przez Monsieur Ratcheta?
Do you know anyone connected with the Armstrong case who matches the description Monsieur Ratchet gave you?
Well, that's hard to say. They're mostly dead, aren't they?
Yes. Mrs. Armstrong, Colonel Armstrong, the nursemaid who threw herself out a window.
I remember now. The nursemaid was suspected. She killed herself even though she was eventually cleared.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm okay. Snow is very bright. So, yeah, that nursemaid was a foreigner, I think. Maybe she had some foreign relations or something. But that wasn't the first time Cassetti had run that kidnapping stunt. I bet there are lots of people had it in for him.
Proszę mi powiedzieć, co robił pan wczoraj po kolacji.
Please tell me your movements after dinner last night.
I played some cards with that Italian guy at the front on the coach. Then when people started turning in, I went back to my room. Stayed up all night, Had my door a bit ajar so I could keep watch, but nobody could see me. You get it?
I understand how it is done, yes.
Widział pan stamtąd konduktora?
Could you see the attendant from that position?
Sure. He sits on that little seat right past my room.
Can you describe his movements?
Let's see. He answered a couple of bells after the snow stopped us, went back into the rear coach for 10 minutes or so. Then there was a bell ringing like mad, and he came running back. I got a bit nervous over that, but it was just that talkative American dame raising hell about something or other. Bit later, he headed off to make somebody's bed up. Then he settled in.
Czy widział pan kogoś chodzącego po korytarzu?
Did you see anyone moving up and down the passage?
Nope.
Czy ktoś w pociągu mógłby potwierdzić pańską tożsamość?
Is there anyone on the train who can confirm your identity?
My credentials are taped to the bottom of the table in my compartment along with my real passport. I'm sure you can find them.
Czy pan pali, Monsieur Hardman?
Do you smoke, Monsieur Hardman?
Sure. I've got some cigarettes in my room. Come on by this evening after things quiet down. I can be far more entertaining than that mouse of a woman in your room.
No, thank you. Good day, monsieur.
No dobra, porozmawialiśmy z Hardmanem. A w sumie się tak zastanawiałem, dlaczego nigdzie nie mogłem go spotkać. A on się po prostu kręcił po nie swoim wagonie. Pusty, pusty. Faktycznie, jest pusty. Ale nic tutaj nie ma. Okej. No to chyba wszystko.
It's locked.
Niestety tędy nie przejdziemy. Musimy iść dookoła. Ale tak, Hardman mówił, że są odciski butów. To jest ciekawe. Chciałbym się im przyjrzeć.
Well, would you look at that?
My mamy ciasto. Miska pełna ciasta.
Excellent. Like the hand in the glove.
My body heat will melt it. I must find something to pick it up with.
Does nothing strike?
Czymś muszę to zabrać. Czy ja mam jakieś szczypce? Wycior do fajki, okrągła zapałka. Szczypce do lodu.
That is most pleasing.
Mamy odcisk buta. I prawdopodobnie będziemy musieli teraz ten odcisk buta.
The cast melted. My body heat turned it back into a shapeless mass of batter.
Cholera. Czyli będę musiał to w jakiś sposób zamrozić. No dobra. Ale moi drodzy, tym zajmiemy się w kolejnym odcinku. Potem zapewne ten odcisk buta będziemy musieli porównywać z butami, które znajdują się w szafkach. A tymczasem dzięki wielkie za uwagę. Trzymajcie się i do usłyszenia. Hej!